Hi, ladies and gentlemen, fellow traders. Welcome to another episode of Weekly Forex Outlook with Chart Engineering Pro. Really appreciate you for taking the time to watch this video, and we do not take you for granted at all. If you haven't yet subscribed or are new to this channel, kindly hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any content we post here. And if you also find value with what we share here, be sure to like, drop your comments, share your views, and share this video to your fellow traders or anyone who would find this information useful. We also like to wish you a happy Easter celebration. Don't forget the reason for the season. Make sure you make some time for your family and friends during this season, and we'll catch you on another trading week next week. So without wasting much time, let's have a quick recap of last week's setups discussed in our previous video before we dive into next week's analysis. Stay tuned. This is natural gas. So last week we were looking forward to a possible head and shoulder formation around this area of interest, and we had that head and shoulder formation. So this is the head and shoulder. This was the left shoulder. This is the head, and this is the right shoulder. So we had a retest of the neckline, and then we took our entry from here to the downside. So we are looking forward to more sales on this position. So these are various targets on this trade for natural gas. So let's move to the next. This is NZDUSD. We have been holding this position for a while now, and we are currently still running in profits. So last week we anticipated that price was going to react from this. This was an area of interest here. Price retested it quickly and then kept dropping. So we couldn't catch that trade. So going into next week, we have another opportunity. If price is able to retest this area of interest we have here and give us selling opportunities, we'll be glad to take more sales or add another position to this trade to the downside. So we still have more TPs below. So we can also extend our TP to the TP2, depending on how price approaches this first TP1. Or we can allow price to hit TP1 and look for other selling opportunities to the rest of the TPs we have below. So this is what we are looking out for NZDUSD. We are very bearish on that. This is also NZDCHF. So we identified this head and shoulder formation, which was not very clear, but it is. So this was the left shoulder, the head, and then the right shoulder, and we got our entry somewhere here, I think some weeks ago, and we are currently running in profits on this position. So going into next week, we'll be looking forward to another retest, possible retest of this area of interest we have here. If we get price to retest this area of interest we have here, we can also add another position to this trade to the downside. So let's look out for this sell on NZDCHF. Price has already hit the TP1 and is approaching TP2, so we'll be glad if we get another entry around here and continue to the downside. So last week we had this, we saw this de-escalation news or how news was flying around concerning the tensions in the Middle East. So we saw some de-escalation posts which seemed that the war was almost being settled, but then it wasn't the case. So we saw this sharp retracement on Brent crude oil and out of fear of losing this trade entirely, we had to close out around this area. So we closed out around this area, and then following day, I think the President of the United States spoke, and then price took off again. So we chickened out on this position and other positions as well, and we missed out on this move. But then it is not too late. What we're going to look out for is if we get a daily candle to break above. If we get a daily candle to break above the structure points we have here, if we get a daily candle to close above it, we get a retest to that structure point or a little bit deeper into the area we have here, we'll still be interested in taking the buys to the upside with the same previous targets we had from our previous setup. So we exited around here, which we took out very small profits, and we missed out on all this move right here. So what we're going to look forward to is possible buying opportunities to complete this move to TP2 we have here. I think we also have a TP3, which will be a long-term move, which is around $186 per barrel on Brent crude oil. This is US 30. So just as we saw on crude oil, Brent crude oil, we saw that rapid retracement, and we also had to close this trade around this area. And then so we closed this trade early around this area on US 30. We cut this trade as well on Russell 2000 around here, and so we exited this position as well on Russell 2000. This is JPN 225 or the Nikkei 225. So looking at the sharp retracement that came into the market due to the de-escalation news, we also closed around this area, and as we can see, price eventually went to hit the SL. So if we hadn't even closed earlier, we would have still hit the SL that we set on the trade, on the position. Now going into next week, all these indices, we are likely going to see some bearishness if we get some confirmation. So on these same positions, we'll be looking out for selling opportunities downside once again. So we'll share those updates in the Telegram group, the free Telegram group. So if you have not joined the Telegram group, kindly check the link in the description box of this video and then join the group and then stay updated with some of these setups we share here on the weekly Forex Outlook. So this is Euro GBP. So we're entirely wrong about this trade. We hit our SL and we're entirely wrong about it. So this was a loss for us on Euro GBP. This is silver. We also took a loss on silver as well. Price, we got our perfect entry here, but then we're not fortunate. Price still went all the way higher to clear or take us out on our SL. But then this trade still looks, or this setup on silver still looks bearish. It still looks bearish. So going into next week, what we'll be looking out for is a possible, if we are able to get a daily structure shift here, get a daily candle to close around here below this structure point, we look for a retracement and backup, or more like a lower high formation, then we can look for selling opportunities to the upside. Also, if we're able to get any reversal pattern within this zone, or should price also pull back into this zone and give us reversal opportunities, or let's say reversal patterns or reasons to sell, we will still be interested in looking for the sells in any of these two areas of interest. So we would consider this bullish if we're able to clear this zone and continue to the upside. Until then, we are still very bearish on silver for the coming weeks. So the last one we missed out on was USD-CHF. So last week we anticipated that price was going to pull back into this area of interest to give us buying opportunities. Price pulled back exactly into the area of interest, but we couldn't get any entry opportunity from here to the upside. So we missed out on this position as well on USD-CHF. Let's see what we have for the economic calendar for the coming week. So on Monday, as we already know, we are already in the Easter festivities. So Monday is still going to be a holiday for almost all the currencies. But then we have ISM Services PMI high impact news on around 2 p.m. GMT. And on Tuesday, there's no high impact news. On Wednesday, we're also going to have the official cash rate for NZD, which is a very high impact news for the NZD. So if you are holding any NZD position around this time, you have to be very careful. Have to take caution of that. And we also have the FOMC meeting minutes later in the day on Wednesday. On Thursday, we're going to have the core PCE price index, and then we're also going to have the final GDP for USD. And then on Friday, we're going to have the CAD and employment change and unemployment rate, which is more like the NFP for Canadian dollar. And then we're also going to have the CPI around the same time as the CAD employment change so we're going to have the CPI for USD at the same time as we're going to have the employment change and unemployment rate for CAD on Friday. So let's take note of these economic events. And as we already know, due to the tensions in the Middle East, we also have certain tweets and certain announcements that impact the market. So let's expect some volatility here and there in the market as well. So this is DXY. Let's see what we have for the coming week. So this is DXY. So last week we anticipated that DXY was going to shift the structure and come for a retest or a pullback and then continue to the upside. We had that exact movement. So going into next week, we are likely going to see price continue upside. We're likely going to see price continue upside to shift this daily structure. So if we're able to shift this daily structure here, we come for a retest of the daily structure or a deeper pullback somewhere here, and we look for buying opportunities to the upside into this solid resistance we have here. So we're looking for it to a buying opportunity into this resistance. The actual move is this area of interest is a very strong resistance area where price might react and give us selling opportunities all the way down. But then if price is able to break through this area of interest, if price is able to break through this area of interest or this resistance, we know we are going all the way up. So let's be on the lookout for that. So we are just going to be patient. We are just going to target the resistance area first and look at how or observe how price is going to react in that area. So we take our decision whether to go bearish or continue to the bullish side for the XY. This is Euro USD. So for the trades we closed out on, we didn't close out on Euro USD. We kept holding Euro USD. I think the USD positions, we kept holding them, and price came back into the entry area, and now we are currently in profit again. So going into next week, we're just going to look out for a daily structure shift here to add a position to this trade. So we are currently holding this position. So what we're going to look out for is a daily structure shift. If we get a daily candle closure below these daily structures here, we'll wait for a pullback or a retest, and then we'll look for selling opportunities all the way to the downside. And as we can see, this formation is actually developing a harmonic pattern called a butterfly pattern, and this is the potential harmonic pattern forming. So this is the X, this is the A, this is the B, this is the C, and the D leg is somewhere around here. I'll have to update the actual target, but then we already have these targets that we are looking out for the coming week. So we just have to stick to these targets we have. But this is a potential harmonic pattern developing at our area of interest on Euro USD. So we are very bearish on Euro USD for the coming week. This can only shift bullish if price is able to clear or break this high or break this zone and continue to the upside. Until then, we are very bearish on Euro USD. We have here GBPUSD, and we are also extremely bearish on GBPUSD. So going into next week, what we are going to look out for is a possible pullback into this area or this area once again. Any of these two zones we have here, we are likely going to see some selling opportunities from here to the downside or to the various targets we have downside. So we are very bearish on GBPUSD for the coming week. Should price break above the zone and continue upside, we know we have shifted bullish. Until then, we are extremely bearish on GBPUSD. We also have the AUDUSD. So last week we anticipated that price was going to pull back into this first area of interest to give us some selling opportunities to the downside. Sorry, price made its way there, and we saw some weird reactions here. So what we are going to do is, going into next week, we'll be looking out for a reversal pattern. I think on the 4-hour, there was a nice 4-hour structure shift, but then we have to wait patiently to see some more development to engage this trade. So as we can see, price has already shifted this 4-hour structure we have here. So we are bearish on the 4-hour structure. So we can see this retracement. So this can likely be a lower high formation. Price can just continue dropping, or price can also give a pullback or buy and form maybe like a double top formation, or a much cleaner reversal pattern, so that we can see some sells to the downside. So we are also very bearish on AUDUSD. But then if price still finds its way into this area of interest we have above, we will still be interested in looking for the selling opportunities from there to the downside for AUDUSD. So we are very bearish on AUDUSD as well. This is EURCAD. So EURCAD currently has approached an area of interest. So what we'll be looking out for is a possible daily structure shift here. Should we get a daily candle closure below or shift structure here, we get a possible lower high formation, we look for selling opportunities to the downside. So we are looking out for this bearish movement on EURCAD. We are going to wait for that patiently. Or should price pull back a bit higher to this zone as well, we can still look for selling opportunities from here to the downside. So these are the various targets we have for the EURCAD sales the potential sales we are looking out for on EURCAD. We have a GBPCAD. GBPCAD is also reacting from a strong area of interest, and what we are going to wait for or look out for on GBPCAD is this is likely going to be a double top formation. So these are the possible scenarios. If we get a daily candle closure here and we get, it will be appropriate if we get a daily candle closure below this daily structure instead to confirm the bearish shift properly on a daily perspective. Then we get a pullback to the area of interest or a pullback to retest this daily structure or this daily structure, and we look for selling opportunities to the downside. And it's going to potentially form or develop a head and shoulder formation if this happens. So this is the 4-hour time frame. So this would be the left shoulder, and this entire move here, this possible double top will become the head, and then we'll see a possible left shoulder formation, and we get a continuation to the downside. So we are waiting for this shift before we can take our decision on GBPCAD. Should price also pull back a bit higher into the zone, let me clear this. Should price pull back a bit higher into the zone above, we will still be interested in taking the sales from here to the downside. So these are the various targets we have for GBPCAD for the coming week or weeks ahead of us. So we are very bearish on GBPCAD. And if we can remember, this whole move is actually like a head and shoulder, which is playing out. So this is the head and shoulder playing out on a weekly time frame. So this is either this or this can be the head, whichever you choose as your left shoulder. So this is the left shoulder. We're taking this as our left shoulder. This is the head, and this is the right shoulder, and we are looking for is a continuation. So this is like a possible retest or a retest of the neckline of the head and shoulder formation, and we are going to look for it to a downside for this move on GBPCAD. So we are very bearish on GBPCAD. We also have an AUDCAD. So AUDCAD, last week we anticipated that price was going to pull back into either this very first area of interest or the second one. Price has already retested the second area of interest. So what we are going to look out for is we're going to wait for some reversal patterns. So this movement looks similar to AUDUSD. So what we are going to look out for is if we're able to get some reversal patterns here. If we get reversal patterns, maybe a double top formation, a head and shoulder formation, any confirmation we get here, or should price also shift structure. If we get a 4-hour candle break below this and we come for a retest, we can look out for selling opportunities to the downside for AUDCAD for the coming weeks. We are very bearish on AUDCAD for the coming week. And this is NZDCAD. We've been waiting for this trade for a very long time, and finally price has shifted as we expected of it. So going into next week, we are very bearish on NZDCAD now. We are looking for a possible pullback into this very first area of interest. Look for selling opportunities from here to the downside, or should price pull back all the way to the second zone above, we will still be interested in taking the sales from there to the downside. So we are very, very, very bearish on NZDCAD. I think it's also giving us head and shoulder formation. Yes, so this is the head and shoulder that is reacting from this area of interest. So this is the head and shoulder. This is the left shoulder. This is the head, and this entire move, you can take this as our right shoulder, and then now we are expecting a retest of the neckline, then we continue to the downside. So this is a nice reversal pattern reacting from a strong area of interest above here. So we are very bearish on NZDCAD for the coming week. This is GBPCHF, sorry, and so GBPCHF is also currently reacting from I think a weekly and a monthly area of interest, and as you can see here, there's a possible development of a head and shoulder formation around here. So what we are going to wait for is a daily candle closure to break this daily structure we have here. We get a daily candle closure below here, we come for a possible retest of the neckline or a lower high formation, and we look for selling opportunities to the various targets we have below here. So this is, we are very bearish on, we're looking out for bearishness on GBPCHF actually. So this will be our left shoulder, our head, and a possible right shoulder around here. So we're just looking for a clear structure shape to give us confirmations that price wants to go bearish. Then we take ourselves from there to the downside on GBPCHF. Sorry. We also have here EURCHF, and EURCHF is also reacting from a strong area of interest. And what we would wait for is a daily structure shift. So these are the possible scenarios. If we're able to get a double top formation within this zone, we will be glad to take the sales from here to the downside. So this is the very first scenario we have. And the second scenario is if we get a daily structure shift or a daily candle break below this daily structure we have here, we wait for a lower high formation, and then we look for selling opportunities to the downside. So we are also very bearish on EURCHF for the coming week. This is GBPJPY. So GBPJPY is giving us some nice bearish attempts over here. So on the weekly perspective, we saw this nice reaction from this area of interest we have here. We have this this candle doesn't really look like a rejection candle, but then as we can see, we have a very strong bearish engulfing candle coming from this area of interest. So going into next week, we'll be looking forward to a possible pullback back into this area of interest. So going into next week, we are looking forward to a possible pullback like this. These are the possible scenarios. So we are looking forward to a possible pullback into this area of interest for price to give us a nice reversal pattern around this area, and we'll take ourselves to the downside. And secondly, should price also just keep selling and break this structure point here with a daily candle, we look forward to a possible pullback, then we look for selling opportunities to the downside. So we are extremely bearish on GBPJPY for the coming week. So we're looking out for these opportunities, and we'll share the updates on the Telegram group as well. So these are the various targets we have. Should we get this bearish momentum or bearish moves from here, these are the targets we're going to have for this sell on GBPJPY. So we still have, this is gold, and gold is currently still playing around that area of interest. So what we're looking out for is if we're able to get a reversal pattern to develop within this area, a double top, head and shoulder, any reversal, whatever we get to give us selling confirmations around this zone, we'll look for selling opportunities from here to the downside for gold. Should price also pull back all the way up to the second zone above, we will still be interested in looking for selling opportunities from here. We'll still be interested in looking for selling opportunities from this second zone above to the downside. And then if price breaks above the zone, then we know we are still in a very bullish momentum. So we are looking at the bearish side of things for gold. That's if we're going to see DXY become strong over time. So on to the next. This is S&P500. So last week we anticipated that price was going to pull back into this area of interest. Price has finally pulled back into the area of interest. So what we are going to look out for is a possible reversal or selling confirmations around this zone. If we get a double top formation, a head and shoulder formation, whatever reversal confirmations we get from here, we'll be glad to take these sales from here to the downside. So we are going to look out for the bearish side of things for S&P 500 for the coming week. Should price also pull back into this zone above, we will still be interested in taking the sales from here or looking for selling opportunities from there to the downside for S&P 500. So we are very bearish on S&P 500. Should price, should we get some momentum here and we break above, then we know that we are now very bullish on S&P 500 going forward. But for now, we are very bearish. So let's look for the bearish side of things for S&P 500 for the coming week. This is also Nasdaq, and the Nasdaq is also currently in an area of interest. So similar to S&P 500. If we get any reversal pattern in your selling confirmations from here, we are just going to take ourselves from here to the downside. Should price pull back all the way high here and give us some reactions from here to the downside, we'll still be interested in taking the sells from there to the downside. So we are also very bearish on Nasdaq for the coming week. I think this is the last. Yeah, I think the last. So this is German 30, and German 30 is currently in an area of interest where we'll be looking for selling opportunities. So going into next week, if we get any selling confirmations within the zone, we'll take ourselves from here to the downside or the various targets we have here. Or should price pull back a bit higher to the second zone above, we would take ourselves or look for selling opportunities from there as well to the downside for German 30. I think I forgot one more pair. JPY. So this is CHFJPY, and so for CHFJPY, we also see some bearishness coming in on CHFJPY. So going into next week, we are likely going to see price just keep moving or just continue to sell, or we are likely going to see some slight retracement, maybe a possible double top formation around here or a retracement into this zone once again. Then we'll look for selling opportunities from here to the downside. So what we are looking out for is a weekly candle to close below this very first structure or this second structure we have here. So if we are able to get a weekly candle to close below these structures, then we'll wait for a lower high formation and we'll look for more sales to the downside. So this is the second TP we have on CHF JPY. But then if we're able to get a selling opportunity here, this structure point is going to be our first TP for CHF JPY's bearishness. Thank you so much for sticking through to the end of this video. Really appreciate you for your time, and we would encourage all of us to apply proper risk management to our trades. Let's trade safe and sound. I wish all of us a prosperous and a fruitful week ahead of us, and take good care of yourself during this holiday season. And I wish you all the best. I'll catch you guys on another episode. Take care of yourself, and thank you so much for being an ardent follower till this time on this milestone of the 40th episode. Thank you so much. Bye bye.